Today we're reacting to 3 of the best UFO videos released by the U.S. government.
Great. I'm excited.
Let's get straight into it.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing.
It's turning.
It's rotating.
It's rotating. This is another one, I think, of the same day. He said there's a whole fleet of them.
Is this off of San Diego, or where is this?
This is off the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Nickel 6-1 Tango, Roger, over. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow, look at the fly!
And then this is the last one. And this one's from 2004. There's no audio accompanying it. It's much less interesting than the first two. But anyways, yeah, so we're watching those 3. I guess my first question is, what do you think changed that made the government start releasing UFO files recently?
I think they're planning on something. And I think I think that's government stuff. I don't think it's
you don't think
UFO.
It's UFO stuff?
No, I mean, those guys didn't know what it was, so technically it's a UFO for them. But no, I think Lockheed Martin or something, some other agency probably has developed this kind of stuff for years, decades. And
what is Lockheed Martin?
Oh, they're a contractor for the government. They do a lot of space stuff.
Where have you heard of them before? Like, how do you know about them?
Forever. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know when
There's not like a
first
big
started.
thing that came out about them?
No, I don't. But they're one of the contractors that I thought might be involved. I've heard that term. I've heard people bring that up. So maybe it's them. Maybe there's other ones too. So I don't know. You know what's so kind of anticlimactic about it is that it's a dot on a screen, and it's like, and yeah, it turns. It's kind of weird. Those guys were obviously like blown away at it.
Yeah,
but I think I think it's something the government knows about. They're not going to disclose really what it is, but they're satisfying the curiosity of the American public by dropping these videos.
Okay. You already answered a couple of the questions I was going to get
really?
into. I was going to say, do you think the government is being like more transparent today, or do you think they're just showing us what they want us to see?
I think it's the latter. I think they know what they want us to see and what they want us to believe.
So why do you think that if they did have some extraordinary knowledge of the subject matter, they would keep it a secret? Because I think we both agree that they would. And
they would.
I think almost everybody agrees and says, like, yeah, if the government does have all this technology, they're not going to tell us about it. But why do you think that is? Do you think it's a fear of foreign adversaries getting a hold of this technology or learning about this technology? Do you think it's most governments in the world already have an understanding of what this is?
I think the U.S. probably has more of an understanding than other governments. But it's such a bureaucracy that I can't... it's got to be very difficult to disclose this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for the longest time, anyone that talked about this type of thing was labeled a kook.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The more I see this, because this has been out for a little bit, and I think, where are the clear videos flying saucers.
Yeah, even the ones that they have today are all the government release stuff, and that's why I kind of chose an older video to react to, because it's far more interesting than the ones they're releasing today, which are just lights in the sky that you can't really see anything out
Yeah.
of it. So it's like, why are they even showing us it if it's just something that's so unconvincing? It's like, oh yeah, we have this stuff, we don't know what it is, and you can't even see anything. It's like, why?
Some of the more recent drops, they look like it could be drones.
Yeah, it literally could easily be a drone because all you see is a light in the sky.
Yeah.
Except for like the recreation of videos or recreation of things they've seen. I saw one where it was like a orb, like an orangish orb that's like getting bigger and like teleporting in front and like feet by feet or meter by meters. And I don't understand why they'd even give us a recreation of that. Like,
Yeah, why?
it's just, I think they're just trying to muddy the waters,
Yeah.
make it less understandable as to what's going on.
It's got everyone questioning. There's, the Spielberg movie. Everything about it is like, oh, there's space aliens. And I don't think there is. But there's something going on, and I think the government is planning much of this. I think it's planned confusion. I think we're all being kind of conned.
Well, you can't see it very well in that video, but from what I've heard is that, especially in the that's the Tic Tac video.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The Tic Tac UFO video. From what I've heard, it's been like we've been able to see these things making movements that aren't physically possible for as we, or at least as how we normally understand physics works. It goes against those laws. So with that being said, do you think it is the U.S. technology? Do you think it's foreign technology, or do you think it's just something that us regulars don't understand?
No, I think it is technology that we don't know about, that the government knows about.
Okay.
And I also think that there is the chance that some of this is, the interdimensional spiritual beings. But which is which, I don't know.
And we'll get more into that side of things, like the faith and spiritual side of things in a little bit. But I'm thinking there's physical crafts that we're seeing. So it's very interesting to understand how the spiritual world, if it is like an interdimensional thing, how they intertwine with our regular world. It's also really weird because there's always been stories, and like I've always been interested in this kind of stuff, and as have you. But there's always stories of us retrieving crafts that are like ancient. They're digging them up. It's like archaeological sites or whatever. So you still think it's something that the government has control of, but do you think they're the ones who made it?
I think they are. I think maybe some of the technology was given to them or found or something, but I think most of it is probably known by the government. It's under the guise of that's not the term. It's under the control of the government. I don't know if you remember, about a year and a half ago, something like that, there was in New Jersey, there were these drones. They came out of the sea. People saw them all over the place. Everyone was like, what's going on? And I don't know what the final word on that was, but then it went away. It was something someone was doing. It wasn't space people.
Okay. I have seen, I don't know if it's the same videos because I don't remember it being like a release, but I do remember seeing videos of drones going in and out of water, or I'm
Yes.
saying drones, but vehicles going in and out of the water. But this technology is like very super advanced. So why would they even release any footage of that purposefully?
Because people already know of it, and they're just kind of leaking it here and there.
So do you think? So this goes back to your point earlier that it's like they're building up to something.
Yeah, I think they are. Also, it might be for our enemies. It might be to show them, look, we got some stuff here. It's like pretty crazy high-tech stuff. I don't know. But it's certainly it's interesting. But I've never seen the video where you're just going, "Oh, look, that's a flying saucer."
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that. I've seen some that seem to look like that, but I think they might be AI, is what I'm thinking.
Well, let me show you another video. Um, I'll pull it up right now. Okay, so here is a more advanced version, I guess. What you were asking for earlier, a more clear visual of a UFO. Just watch the video. I wonder if the video pauses it for me. No, it doesn't. Let me see if I can get it.
Why do Navy
Why does pressing spacebar?
Yeah. Could that be a Mylar balloon? I don't know.
You know, that now that you mention it, it does kind of look like a balloon, like a sideways balloon, but it doesn't look like it's moving very much.
Well, that's okay. It could just be stationary and they are flying past it.
Yeah, that's true. It could just be a balloon. It's definitely a more visual thing with something that doesn't look like like it has a propellant force behind it. It looks like it's controlling its own gravity, but yeah, it could just be a balloon. In fact, I saw a video not too long ago of somebody disproving a like angel-looking being in the sky that turned out to be a clone trooper balloon. Did you see that same
Yeah,
video?
I saw the same thing.
Yeah, so it looked like it was a crazy alien thing, but then people compared it to this balloon, and it was clearly just a
I think
balloon.
the government, there's a reason they would almost like us to believe that these are space aliens. Congress is coming out and saying that they've been briefed on things that they can't even tell us, and that if we knew, it would just blow our minds. But I think the government has something to gain by us believing that space aliens are about to land. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some kind of staged event that pretty much everyone believes, oh, this is it. I think they have a lot to gain from our fear. And I think they proved that during COVID and with all the shutdowns and everything like that. I think the space invasion would be another opportunity to kind of control the populace.
Have you listened to the Bob Lazar full story?
Yeah, I have.
What do you think about that? Because that seems like a very genuine person,
I know.
and it seems like a very genuine story. And he claims that there are the way they got these crafts were from like archaeological digs and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think he's. I know he believes what he experienced, but and I believe something happened, and I think in that case it might have been interdimensional beings.
And well, I guess to lend credit to your point that you don't think it's an archaeological ancient thing that they're finding. He said that that's what he was told, but he also knew that they were telling him some things that were true and then very specific things that were not true in case he were to go out and start explaining this stuff, and then they'd hear back like, oh, this is what we heard, and then they know exactly who to point to because we only told him about this. So then with the truth, there's falsehoods that are just making it more complicated for people to really understand the real truth.
Well, a lot of times, a good lie contains a lot of truth.
Yeah.
It's just twisted enough to make it not true. I don't believe in space aliens. If you were to ask me this 20 years ago, I'd say, oh, sure, why not? But that's not.
Why do you feel that way?
Well, I don't, you know, I don't know for sure. And I'm not going to say it can't be, but I don't believe it is. I feel that we are here as part of God's design. And I know, yes, he could have some kind of other civilization somewhere else. But it very clearly in the Bible, it talks about um, spiritual hosts of wickedness that, are around us, basically. Can they become physical? Well, angels can. So I don't see why not.
Mm-hmm. And the idea that these beings, these angels, are far, far more intelligent than us lends to the idea that if they can communicate with us because they can become physical, and some angels are fallen angels that want to hurt the world, they could easily be lending this technology or giving us a input on how to make this kind of technology.
Yeah, I mean, I never even considered that until just recently, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is that there are other realms, other dimensions that are all around us that we can't see, we can't experience. That the Bible tells us these entities will be released in the last days. But just it says, be aware you could be entertaining angels unawares.
Yeah, that's one of
So
my favorite quotes
yeah,
of the Bible.
so
I've used that so many times to other people, and because nobody knows about that verse, and then you
oh
tell
really?
them, and they're like, "Whoa, that's crazy."
It is.
Yeah, and I'll quote it now so people listening can understand. Make sure to entertain. I don't know if the exact words, not word for word, but be sure to entertain strangers, for in doing so, some have entertained angels unwillingly.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like, whoa.
Um, and I think in that case they're probably benevolent.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but these quote signs and wonders in the skies, I I don't trust them, and um, I just don't trust them.
Has the government mentioned more releases to come?
I don't know. They said they were going to. I've been disappointed in what I've seen.
I'm disappointed with the government every day of my life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, yeah, they feed us this idea that we're gonna get more information on this.
yeah.
They feed us the idea that we're gonna get justice on the Epstein
I know.
files. It's just never, everything is forever going to be covered up, and it's there. It just makes me so unsettled at the world we live in and the power of the people who are corrupt in this world. There's just infinite amounts of power.
But more and more people are seeing this. More and more people are waking up.
Yeah, I think the internet's obviously a bad thing for that. I mean, before, like you said, anybody with a UFO story or anything of that sort was labeled a kook, and nobody took them seriously.
Yeah.
But now with the internet, we're getting more visuals. We're even if they're not even very very clear at all, but we're getting more, and a lot more people are taking this seriously instead of just like, oh, this person's crazy. Like, no, I think there's a lot of people who have experienced things that normal people couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
But to know exactly what it is I don't even know who would know everything, and
But
how would that be kept a secret? Because you'd think they'd tell their family, and then their
yeah.
family would tell their best friends, and then their best friends would say, "Oh, I heard this," and so that's what makes me think some of the rumors going around may be true.
Yeah, but you have to be careful because there's a lot of people using AI to
Mm-hmm.
create visuals and that impossible things. And a lot of times you can tell right away, but it's becoming more and more difficult
Yeah,
to
that's
to
definitely a
tell.
problem. We're like, there's a common joke that is made now that people see an AI video that's very hard to tell if it's AI or not, and they're like, "I'm so getting scammed when I'm older. I'm so gonna get scammed when I'm older," because it's true. Everything that you can see is so deceiving now. It could be so deceived. It's like so easy to make something look incredibly real, and that you could never, just by watching it, determine whether it's fake or not.
kind of setting us up for what might be a great deception, because the Bible says that's going to happen in the end days, or the end times, and there's just a lot of things in place right now that kind of.
Well, the Bible says that there's going to be a increase of knowledge in the end times, which I think AI is doing for us. Like, we have access to so much knowledge, but then the idea of AI being able to generate stuff that looks so real is like making it so blurry. Like it's almost impossible to know what is real nowadays, which is a big problem.
The same verse that says about it's in Daniel about increase in knowledge. The same verse right before that, I think, it says people will be traveling to and fro across the earth. I'm thinking, well, jet airplanes. This couldn't have been fulfilled
100 years ago.
Yeah, 150 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, does it also say in the Bible, or is this just a quote that gets thrown around that 1,000 years is as a day, and a day is as 1,000 years
to God?
So when it's like in the end times, what does he mean by the end times? Who knows?
I know.
Like it could be. I mean, technically, we are in the end times, right?
And people during World War II thought the same thing, right? Yeah,
Well,
technically
we are.
After Jesus, we're all in the end times, right?
Yeah, but the idea is like if it's 1,000 years is as a day, and a day is as 1,000 years, and like you said, when it says, "Oh, we're in the end," or in the end times, people will be traveling to and fro, and airplanes have been around for a couple decades now.
100 years.
100
yeah,
years,
a couple decades.
Well, I don't know how early people started using planes commercially, at least.
I was a little kid, and there were jets all over the place.
Oh well, yeah, but you're not 100 years old, are you?
No, but I'm more than a couple decades.
Yeah, but it's like if airplanes are real, or are really what it was talking about, rather, then who knows how long in the end times or in the end days
I know
it means.
Yeah,
like we could have another 1,000 years.
Jesus said he didn't even know when the second coming was. That only the Father knew. So it's like,
well, he didn't actually technically say that, because that
what did he say?
He said only the Father knows, but he didn't say he doesn't know. And he's talking to the disciples. I was just watching a debate on this.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I was literally the other night watching a debate on this, because and he kind of compares it to like the a Jewish wedding in that time. The father would be the one who determines, or like says and it's declarative knowledge. It's not actual knowledge, because if Jesus is God, then he is all knowing. And if he's not God, then he's not all knowing. So saying that he doesn't know that would actually be wrong. He does know. Right. It's a declarative type of knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah. But this kind of, I guess, is a good time to get into like the faith kind of idea of this. Actually, one more question before we got into that is, if you had to place like your life on it, what do you think these things like the jet footage of those guys talking about it, and do you think it's more credible that it's coming from military personnel, or does it is there so many things that is covered even from them that they?
Yeah, I think it's credible that it really happened, but I don't know if their understanding of what it is any better than someone else.
Yeah, and then if you had to place your life on it,
I wouldn't place my life on it.
If you had to, it's a hypothetical. So if you had to place your life on it, you would say it's government technology that they built themselves.
I don't know if the term government. I would say government contractors have created things that we are completely unaware of. Now, one of those scientists that went missing earlier this year.
One of the 100?
No. It was.
There's so many that have.
There were a lot, but it was a woman, and I saw the video. She. And I don't remember if it was Instagram or YouTube. I don't remember, but she was saying anti-gravity exists. We got it together, and then she was she was kind of touting that we got this going, and
Is this
then
the same woman?
suddenly she didn't last very long
Is
after
this the
that.
same woman that was documenting like her hands like burning while she was on the computer?
No.
Okay, there's
Well,
another.
if it is, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, there's another. Well, I guess let me look that up.
This might be one of the most unsettling cases you haven't heard about, because right before she died, Amy Eskridge started making claims that some people say she was never supposed to share.
Like, we discovered anti-gravity and our lives went to shit, and people started sabotaging us, and it's a harassment, threat. It's awful.
She talked about things that didn't sound ordinary, hinting at ideas and information that felt way beyond everyday understanding. And according to messages attributed to her, she seemed increasingly aware that what she was dealing with wasn't simple.
Because you can beam me through there and through there, and you can get a 3D image of what I'm typing.
Some of her statements were recorded, others only surfaced later through conversations and fragments that appeared online, but the deeper people looked, the more confusing the timeline became, with pieces that didn't fully line up yet felt too specific to ignore. What makes this even stranger is the gap between what can actually be confirmed and what continues to circulate, because while there are real traces of what she said, there's no complete picture explaining why she said it or what she might have been reacting to. And that's where the mystery starts to grow, because when someone leaves behind partial clues instead of clear answers, people begin to connect dots that may or may not belong together.
This is the brain right here. This is the neck going down the spine. You can.
Let me just pause there. She almost seems like a schizophrenic.
Yeah.
But the burns on her hands, I don't know, I guess she's
Well,
probably the scientist you were talking about that said that she discovered anti-gravity and then ended up dead.
I don't know, but a couple things don't make sense. She said in something about there was a nice Lexus in outside their apartment, almost implying that that kind of car is never around here. Like, she's a scientist and she's living in an apartment, apparently not a nice one. I don't know. It just seems like you said, maybe she's a little off.
But then there's the part that she said, I'm not suicidal, and she ends up dead. And then there's the part that her hands, you can visually see, are completely red.
Okay. Someone that's discovering anti-gravity, living in an apartment that something doesn't fit with her story with me.
But I also think the fact that she ended up dead after saying, I'm not suicidal,
Yeah.
like, these people are after me, it almost makes me think that if the government were trying to shut somebody up about it, maybe they would try to make somebody insane somehow.
Yes.
I don't know if they're drugging her, if they actually are beaming her hands or whatever, because they are red compared to the rest of her. If that's giving her some radiation poisoning that's making her brain not work very well, they could be putting gas in the house. They could do all sorts of things that would make somebody's brain not work properly. And it seems if she did end up dead, which has been claimed, I don't know, maybe it's a big internet hoax, but if she did end up dead and she was saying she's not suicidal, and maybe the her being crazy is all part of the government's ploy to, like, oh, we'll just make this, people aren't going to think twice when they hear how she's talking because we're gassing her house
Yes.
with some crazy thing or making her feel insane or making her go insane.
Yeah, and there's been more and more claims recently of people who were kind of made insane by the government. They're claiming that Charles Manson, was a CIA asset or he was controlled by the CIA.
And he went crazy.
Well,
like,
yeah,
he was literally insane.
way out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to his interview
Yeah.
after he was arrested.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this, but I do know that this kind of thing is happening more and more, and it does lend credence to the government doesn't want certain things out, And if they have to make you feel like you're crazy to suppress certain things, I I wouldn't put it past them, because it's the government's this big behemoth that is, it's not one person, it's a lot of things working together, and I think there's a lot of corruption and a lot of things that they want to keep secret, especially if someone's creating anti-gravity machines.
Mm-hmm. And you've mentioned before that, like, a government personnel said if people knew what he knew, they wouldn't be able to sleep at night, or what was the
Yes, actually, that was a representative of Congress, a congressman, and he said that he had been briefed, and he said, yeah, if people knew what he knew, it would be life changing. But he didn't say what it was.
Yeah,
so.
But I mean, I guess he's more credible than the average person, and a lot of the people who are dealing with these kind of things are very credible people now. Because before, like you said, everybody would be labeled as a kook, but now it's like there's so much about this that people are feeling more confident to come out and risk their careers, risk their jobs, because they like have their own story or something like that. Let's move to the next, I guess, portion, which would be, well, I'll just ask the question. Okay. Does the Bible actually say anything about intelligent life beyond Earth?
Yes, but it doesn't. That does not mean space aliens.
Of course. So we can expand on that. I mean, we know of angels, and there's multiple levels and different types of angelic type beings. You would know better. There's the seraphim.
Seraphim. I forget all of them.
There's the seraphim, Nephilim, which are
those
angels.
are the giants that came from human women that apparently had sexual relations with fallen angels.
Mm-hmm. Where does the Bible talk about fallen angels?
Well, that portion is in early on in Genesis. I don't know what the chapter and verse is, but it's early on. I want to say chapter 6. I don't know.
Okay. And I think you'll have a good answer for this one. How should Christians approach extraordinary claims or videos?
With a lot of skepticism, because I think a lot of this is AI. I'm convinced that now, not this particular video that you showed. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
And the one in the jets, I don't think is either.
But there's a lot of people that would get their kicks off. They get a lot of likes and a lot of hits, I'm sure, because they're so spectacular. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some that were just crazy about, like in the forest, space aliens walking around, and it showed them, and it's not real, but nowadays, who can know what's real and isn't with AI? How should we be affected by this, or what was the question exactly?
How should Christians approach these claims?
Not with fear. Not with fear. In fact, seeing these types of things tells me that there is another world, right? These things are otherworldly. Mm-hmm. But I think the main thing is that we don't approach it with fear. We approach it with confidence in Jesus. Let's not be confused or deceived by what's going on. But by the way, they say that these abduction events that many people claim they've been taken and inspected and probed and who knows what. They say that I've heard so many accounts that when people, if they're starting to experience that event and they speak the name of Jesus, it goes away, like now.
Yeah, I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
Before.
So it's a spiritual war. There's this. They're trying to make it out to be space aliens, and I understand that. That's a great ploy, especially if they want us fearful. But we can't approach it with fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and power and of a sound mind.
Okay. So with that being said, what evidence would you need to see to be convinced that they're either extraterrestrials or it's demonic entities that they're dealing with, or that it's outside of the U.S. government's creation or U.S. government agencies or contracted agencies that created it?
I don't know, and I don't know if I could know. I think the deception could be so great from what the government was trying to do with Project Bluebeam. They say, oh, that's now defunct. It's not. Well, we don't know that. We don't know what they're up to. So I don't know, but I'm not going to be afraid.
Okay, so what do you think about, because this part lends credence to the idea that Bob Lazar gave of it being archaeological finds and that these things are ancient and have been here for forever.
Yeah, that could be.
What makes me think that is believable is the recent discoveries underneath the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah.
Because there's a quote unquote tic tac shaped object that's 40 meters long. That is at the bottom, I believe, of these spiral staircase-like structures that have been recorded underneath the pyramids. There's a 40-meter long thing, hundreds of feet underground. I think it's a couple kilometers.
Yeah.
Very, very far underground. They have like these spiral staircases going down towards it. I'll put a picture up on screen so people know what I'm talking about, because it's kind of hard to describe. But what do you think that could be? If it's so ancient that it's been built forever ago, and it is a Tic Tac shaped object, kind of like the Tic Tac videos, do you think there's any relation there? Or
Could
does
be.
does that give you more of the questioning of how long have these things been around? Do you think the government found them? You know what I mean?
There's a concept that's called the gap theory and it has to do with early on in Genesis. It's like, I think in the first chapter, where at one point it says God refurbished the earth, or replenished the earth. And if you replenish something, it means that maybe it was replenished to begin with. There are theologians that believe that there's a gap, that civilization existed before God started over. I don't know if that's true, but something made those things under the pyramids. And I find it really difficult to believe that it was the Egyptians that did that.
I mean, there would have to be some record of that. If it's the Egyptians as we know it,
Yeah.
there would have to be some record of that, which there is none. And there's no record of the pyramids. And I was just looking this up the other day too to see if, like, did we rediscover the pyramids? But no, they've always been around. They've just always been there.
Right.
And they're also perfectly placed. I don't know exactly how. They're like
they line up with the cosmos in a certain way. I can't tell you how, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the Egyptians at the time, or the ancient Egyptians, were obsessed with like the idea of death and where your soul goes after death. And there's people that claim that it's a stargate. And I think there's actual writing that literally translate directly to Stargate on the pyramids or in the pyramids or something of that. And I don't know. It's weird to think about how old they are when people actually created these spiral staircases, how it got covered up and just forgotten. Maybe that had to do with the flood. Do you think they were around before the flood?
I think so. I don't know. I think so. It makes sense that they would have been if they, because otherwise someone would have had to build those huge structures that are underneath it after the flood. And who could do that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't know who could do that. Yeah, that's a good point. So I think, yeah, you're probably right that it's from before the flood. So if it's from that old, also you mentioned like there's a specific spot where it says you replenished it, but there's also endless points in the Genesis story that it says, oh, and then he did this, and then he did this, without giving any indication as to when he did this. I know people believe in like the 7,000 or 6,000 year Earth because they did a whatever it's called.
I'm not in disagreement with that. I think that's perfectly feasible.
I think it's feasible, but I also don't think it's necessarily true, given the Bible's chronological order of how things happened or whatever. I think it's people following the ancestry line or whatever is how they determine that. But there's so many things that, or so many times in the Bible that it doesn't mention how long something took, that it could have been thousands of years for all we know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I know that there's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah.
And there's in Proverbs 25, I think it says that it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search out a matter. And I don't know if we'll ever know. Some of this stuff is concealed from us. We just don't know. But it's interesting to talk about. It's interesting to conjecture.
Yeah, it's very interesting to a point, but then it almost gets frustrating because like you're never gonna know until we die. But we're never.
Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out now. I mean, there's a lot of very unusual things that if you were to ask me 10 years ago, I would have said, no, come on. But there's so much now that I'm thinking, that could be about certain subjects that I was completely convinced.
I don't know if that's going to bring us closer to the truth or just or just lead us to more questions.
Yeah, I know.
Because we already have or the mainstream teachings on things has like kind of a structure of how things played out, but every new release questions everything we've known or been told before that. One thing I'd be interested to see come out more of is the Egypt underneath the pyramids. If they actually started digging in and studying that would be incredible.
Yeah.
That would be at least give some idea of how long and how old it is, what kind of technology is down there. If it's just nothing,
it could be big energy generators.
I've heard that before.
So I don't know. I mean, the same thing there's a bunch of mysteries all over the Stonehenge, right? The Mayan, Aztec temples. There's a lot of things that we just don't have any. There's only so much information we have of it, and it doesn't really answer all the questions.
I've heard that you brought up the Mayans, or the Mayans are in South America.
Yeah. In Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. South of us. Sorry.
Yeah.
South of the America.
Yep.
But the idea I have, or the idea I heard recently from some archaeologist who studied some Mayan temples, is that they've recently discovered that there is older stuff underneath, just kind of like the pyramids. There's older artifacts and stuff to be studied underneath the current temples and stuff like that. but they're not allowed to do anything about it because to get to it, they're going to have to break current stuff that's protected by the government and things like that sort. So it's like it's preventing them from understanding more and discovering more about the past because I feel like do you know who Graham Hancock is?
Yes.
Because he thinks that and he says that pretty much all the time we're learning more about our history that takes our idea of things back even farther.
Yeah.
So it's like, who knows what's underneath these things that we consider, oh, this is important history, we can't destroy this. But there's stuff underneath that's important history to the people who built the stuff that we are calling important history. So
Yeah.
it's like ancient stuff that we will never understand if we don't start getting involved or
Right.
investigating. And that's the same for the pyramids in Egypt. I don't think they're going to allow us to just start digging at it.
Probably not. I mean, they're ancient sites that are historically
Protected.
important, and
And protected, yeah.
yeah.
And that kind of ruins the excitement a little bit. But then at least technology is advancing so fast right now. But even 50 years ago, you'd never imagine being able to understand what's underneath the pyramids just by something from above the pyramids.
Well, it's because of the kind of underground
LiDAR detecting.
Yeah, I didn't even know that stuff existed.
Yeah, it's just recently, I think, started to exist. So even in the future, things are just going to get better and better, and then maybe we'll have a better understanding. Also, AI being the infinitely intelligent thing we can build it to be, maybe with the information we have now, maybe that's enough for AI to be like, oh, I understand it all. And start giving us actual answers. And there's going to be more stuff underneath that too,
Yeah. It may start to answer questions we didn't even know we had.
Yeah, it's gonna come up with better questions than we could have ever asked, and then answer it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. I guess we can wrap it up here. I have one more question. So if the president decided to come address the nation tomorrow with an alien creature next to him, what would your first thought be?
I'd be amused, and I would not hop on the bandwagon. I would not go, oh my! I would think. I'd feel like this is the beginning of the Great Deception. There's something here that's it just doesn't line up.
And is there anything that could convince you otherwise that, oh, maybe these things are just a part of the universe that God didn't think to mention in the Bible because for whatever reason, there's no reason to mention them?
I don't know what that thing could be, but I just don't imagine myself coming to the conclusion that this thing that's standing next to the president is from Alpha Centauri.
What if they claimed to be Bible-believing creatures that professed Jesus as king and Jesus as Lord and Jesus as God, and they were given scriptures on their planet as well?
I think there would be a lot of theologians kind of fact-checking what they're saying. Does this line up? And if it doesn't at all, then we would know about it. I just don't. I can't say that won't happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But maybe I do think that if they do present these beings as from space, and that they're benevolent, they're going to help us, and they're going to tell us how to get along together, and all. It's going to be a big farce. It's going to be phony. But I think, and they'll probably also say that all religions are the same. They all point to the same God, and which you hear anyway. But I would not trust it. I just wouldn't trust it.
Even if their beliefs aligned. I'm just trying to get to I'm trying to get to what would convince you that maybe these aren't too bad. Maybe these are a part of the universe that God created. And you don't think even if they came with, we have our own Bible explaining how we were made.
If
We're-
it's different
and-
than ours in substance, I think that that would no.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it's not different from ours, it aligns with our scripture, but there's other stuff that it talks about, like these types of creatures are like, we're not made in God's image. We actually knew about you. It says like God only made humans in his image.
That would be very curious.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what would convince you.
I would not trust a little green man.
Okay. All right. Understood. If you made it this far and got anything out of it, we ask that you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share everywhere you possibly can. It helps us more than you know.